Enough of that. All right, it's Friday on a Sunday. It's Freehands Friday number 48. Hi, everybody. This is Gene, and I'm here with Victor and Samson and Dean and our very special guest, Brett Bottomley. And there's so much to know and such a great history with him and the Chapman Stick and music as well. And I had the pleasure of meeting Brett a few years back, and he basically helped me run the first Freehands Academy. He had all kinds of great pointers as we were going along, and so what an honor and a pleasure it is to have you on Freehands Friday. I'm going to turn it over to Samson here, do a real quick public announcement. I think that in the next 2 or 3 weeks we'll be having Randy Clare and Glenn Poorman on, and we'll be wrapping up the one-year Freehands Friday session, hopefully, with a one-on-one with Emmett. So we'll see. So, Samson, I'm turning it over to you. Welcome.
All right, Gene, thank you very much. My first time hosting here. So, Brett, got some questions for you. We want to kind of find out about you as a musician and just, kind of what you're doing. But I watched a couple of your videos leading up to this. So I was wondering if, you could talk about, well, first off, what your YouTube site is, if you have one, your website, and just kind of start from the beginning. What really got you into the stick?
Okay, boy, my YouTube site, I'm not sure. I think you're better off just YouTubing Brett Bottomley, and you'll find my videos that way. My website is brettbottomley.com, and so that most of the info is on there. And feel free to look me up on Facebook and friend me. I'll friend you back, and a lot of my info is on there as well. So musically, you want to know how I got started and all that kind of stuff, that kind of jazz?
Yeah, start from the beginning. Take us back.
Oh, man. Take us back. Well, I started listening to music, pretty young. 8, 9 years old. I had a local neighborhood guy named Bill Voss. I give a shout out to my old friend, who started giving me Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin records and Beatles records and everything else, And so, like a lot of stick players, progressive rock kind of, was the impetus for me getting into music. So I remember very distinctly being 9 years old in my bed, and my brother had just, it was 1972, my brother had just bought Close to the Edge. Mm-hmm. Put it on side 2, and he cranked up our household stereo. And Angie Bill Voss, shout out to my old friend, who started giving me Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin records and Beatles records and everything else.
Is that me?
And so, like a lot of stick players. There we go. Okay. We had a little echo there. So anyway, so I'm laying in bed, and And You and I comes on, cranked. I'd never heard it before, cranked, and it just I was like paralyzed in my bed, like, what is this music? What is this sound?
What was the track, Brett? What was the track?
And You and I, by Yes, off of Close to the Edge, side 2, track 1. So blew me away. So anyway, and when I was 14. I was in art class. Somebody else has just joined us, and a bunch of the kids who were also listening to rock and roll at the time said, "Hey, we should form a band." So I'm like, "Okay, great." None of us ever played instruments before, and I'm like, "I'll be the guitar player," and everybody else, "No, I already picked. I'm going to be the guitar player." So, well, what do you need? You need a bass. We need a bass player. So okay, I'll be the bass player. So from there, went out and bought a bass guitar, started playing. And those guys that I was in class with at 14 in 1977 were still in a band. I just had a rehearsal with them, so we're like best of best friends, and we still play hard rock music and stuff like that to this day. And as far as how I got to the stick, long story short, played bass guitar for a long time. Went to Berklee College of Music, studied bass guitar, picked up the upright bass while at Berklee. And pretty much switched over exclusively to the upright bass for a number of years, 12 or 13 years. And got more and more into composition, and it's when you play the upright bass or even the electric bass and you compose, you gotta find a piano player, a tenor player, a drummer, all people who want to play your music. And most jazz guys, at least on the East Coast, they don't even want to rehearse, let alone learn music that aren't standards. So I started looking for, an instrument where I could do it all myself. And I was never a piano guy. So I remembered from my old progressive rock days, I remembered Tony Levin and Emmett Chapman and the Chapman Stick. I said, boy, is anyone playing jazz on this thing? So I researched it. And that was about 14 years ago. And got my first one, really cheap. I can't do that nowadays. And, you know, I haven't put it down since. Just absolutely fell in love with the instrument and really haven't put it down since. So that's kind of, I guess it was through composition, wanting to write my own tunes and play them myself and not have to be dependent on other people is kind of what led me to the stick.
That's cool. Now, since Gene decided to give me the power here as the host to kind of control this, I was wondering, do you remember how to play one of the first compositions that you wrote on the stick? And could you play a little bit of that for us?
Sure. I remember. Yeah, I played almost every week. Okay, so this is a little setup. So 2004 was my first stick seminar. I went down to Charlottesville, Virginia, studied with Greg and Bob Culbertson, and it was wonderful. And I was working on some stuff, and when I came back, I wrote this song, and I kind of always dedicate this to Greg, just because he was the inspiration for this. I was trying to play Greg Howard type music. It came out as Brett Bottomley type music, but I was trying to do Greg Howard type music. So this is a little piece of a song called Charlottesville. And I would always improvise. This little piece of it.
That sounds really, really nice. One thing that jumped out at me that other stick players may have noticed is that you flipped your left hand when you're playing.
Yeah.
When you did that to get the thumb in there for the octave, is that a technique that you developed, or was that something that you picked up from someone, or?
You're talking about when I did the.
Yeah, you really don't see that very often.
No, yeah, it is something I developed. And basically, what it is, and I do that for a number of chords.
And if you could move back a little bit when you're playing, so we could see the whole stick, because you're kind of, yeah, there we go.
Gotta watch out for that thing, which we'll talk about in a minute. Okay, that's what. Yeah, so. You get the sharp 11. So basically, like Greg Howard will tune his a lot of times the high bass fourth, I guess is what he calls the tuning where he'll tune down instead of a fifth, a fourth, this string. I really like having the same tuning all the time, so I wanted to get sharp 11s, and so I just trained myself to do that. Other chords, things like that. A lot of jazz chords and things. So that's just something that I've trained myself to do over the years. is just bring that over to get some of those intervals that are really hard to get, pretty much impossible to get without detuning that upper string.
Okay, yeah, that's a great explanation. That's a real. I'm gonna have to give that a try and steal that from you, called the Bottomley technique or something. And,
There you go. Yes, Bob Gobertson does all kinds of amazing things.
but it just looks so comfortable and so natural, rather than trying to do a crazy stretch with your left hand to just kind of spin it over like that. And it's great to see that. So that's from your first composition there.
Right.
Take us from that moment, from your first composition and progressing on. Did you see yourself as a solo artist, or were you like, man, this is going to be great in a band, or are you just like, you know what, I won't have to put up with the guitarist crap anymore, so I'm not gonna, what was your thought process there by doing that?
All right. Well, I love playing with other musicians. Like I said, I just got through rehearsing with two of my best friends, guitar player and drummer. I see myself as a solo artist and as a part of an ensemble, both. And the ensemble can be anything. It can be a jazz trio. It can be a rock and roll, progressive rock band. It can be a hard rock band. It can be pretty much anything. I think the stick just fits in really well within so many situations.
Okay, so where did you start at from the first composition? What was the first say project you decided from that moment? You were like, you know what, I got this thing, I'm getting pretty competent on it. What am I going to do? Am I going to join up with people? Am I going to what was your kind of thought process? How did you evolve to where you are today with what you're doing?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, the first thing I did was I wrote a bunch of tunes, and I wrote out charts, and I got for my first CD, Journeys, I got a vibraphone player, a drummer, and a tenor saxophone player. And I arranged all the music for them, and I played 4 or 5 tunes in an ensemble, and then I had 2 or 3 solo tunes on that record too. So it was kind of a combination of both. So yeah, I think right from the beginning I said, yeah, I wanted to play solo, but at the same time I want to play with other people as well.
Brett, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So the impetus really for having the confidence to play started kind of like with a solo album then. Is that what I'm hearing? Like you wrote the music for the other musicians, you had stuff as part of an ensemble as a soloist as well, and then it was like, time to record, like now's the time.
Right. And then
what album was this? And what year was this, if you don't mind me asking? And where can I get it?
It's Journeys, and it was 2008, and you could get it from me, or you could probably download it on iTunes or Amazon as well.
Okay.
There as well.
And was that the moment where it was like, I'm now like a stick artist? Was that where, or was that?
I don't know. I mean, I still feel like I'm still growing as a stick artist. So, I listen back to that first album sometimes, and even though I'm proud of it, I'm ready for my next album. That was, 8 years ago, 7 years ago, so the playing has changed a little bit.
Okay. Well, you talked about Journeys being your first album there. Could you give us a sampling of your favorite piece from that album?
All right. Well, there's okay. Let's see. There's a bunch that I still play a lot from that album. I'm trying to think of which one I should pull out. Well, one that I play a lot. One that I play a lot at the end of the night, and I have a weekly gig. I'm lucky enough.
If you could slide back just a little bit for us too, just move your chair back. Thank you.
I'm lucky enough for the last 8 months or so. I've been playing weekly, which is a great thing. It's for a musician, having that steady gig is the dream. Other than playing really good gigs. So I usually end the night with this, just because it's kind of a show off tune. I always say this is one where I'm gonna play really fast. So this is one. And usually there's also like It kind of goes on and on like that. Got that kind of thing. I'm not warmed up yet, so that's how.
Very nice. Very, very nice. I think we're going to be cutting this session short here because everybody wants to go practice or sell their instrument.
Dean and I just quit playing stick while you.
It's like, obviously, I don't know what my instrument's supposed to sound like. So
I'll see you when done.
that's fantastic. It's inspirational. It's wonderful to watch you perform like that and do that and see the possibilities of it. So okay, now take us from the album journeys and what was the next progression in your musical journey from there?
Boy, from there it was kind of really just practicing, playing as many gigs as I could. In the back of my mind, kind of always having the idea that grew up on progressive rock, love to have a progressive rock project. So I found one for about 3 weeks, and it was my dream gig. There's a band, as a matter of fact, a fellow stick player, Alan Benjamin, has a band called Advent out of New Jersey. And I actually went in and auditioned and became a part of Advent for about 3 or 4 weeks. And then I realized the 2.5-hour each way commute to go to band rehearsals. At first I thought I was going to be able to do this, and then I just said, I can't do it. It's just 5 hours in the car just to go to rehearsal. So that I had to stop that. And then I said, well, I'm in Connecticut. There are musicians here. I'm going to form my own progressive rock band. And that kind of was the next thing. And that's where Toy Machine came in. Another old dear friend of mine, a man named Rich Broga, and I got together and said, well, let's create some original music. And we wrote and recorded an album's worth of material. We played a couple of progressive rock festivals. We finally got the stuff recorded. And then we played at the seminar last year, and since then the band's pretty much fallen apart. But the music is documented. I'm very proud of it. It's a wonderful album.
And for those who haven't heard this album yet, if they were to pick it up, what would one of the songs sound like?
Do you want me to play it? It sounds like a mixture of Pat Metheny meets Yes meets Genesis meets, I don't know, all of my influences all kind of put together.
Can we hear a little snippet of it?
Sure.
If you remember anything from it there? Or?
Sure. Well, here's a song that we adapted. This song was on my first solo album, and then we put vocals on it and adapted it. It's called Port Marion. And solo. That's one little piece of one little song. Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. So, you moved from this group, and you said it just dissolved recently. So where have you gone since then?
I'm sorry, you're breaking up a little bit. I'm trying to. I don't know if it's me or my monitors that's causing the break.
Oh, okay. Well, you said that group recently dissolved. Take us from where you've gone since that one. Is this where we come to the new album that you have, or is there something in between?
No, not really. So I've been going over to the UK every summer and playing gigs over there, and have kind of a little following over there of friends and people that appreciate my playing. And it was really hard to really. Let me see if I can turn this down somehow and maybe not get all this feedback. I don't know if anyone else is hearing that. Maybe it's just me.
Well, we should all mute. If you don't have the conch, so to speak, put yourself on mute. Headphones are always good too. So.
Is that
Except for you, Brett. We need to hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So you know, it was to the point where I felt like I could find a gig in the UK easier than I could find a gig in Connecticut. Connecticut's not. Well, I'm not gonna. I mean, I love Connecticut, but it's hard when you play the Chapman stick. You know, you call up a place, or you bring your instrument down. And you say, "Well, I'm a Chapman stick player. I'd like to play at your establishment." And they're like, "Well, what's a Chapman stick?" So if they're not aware of you, it's hard to find gigs. So like I said, about 8 months ago, I said, you know what? This summer, I just lost 140 pounds. I said, this summer, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get a gig. I'm going to get some local gigs. I'm going to get myself out there. So I went out, and one place there was an open mic night, and I went out and played, and I said at the end, I would love to play here. And the owner came up to me right afterwards and said, you want to play every Friday night? I'm like, yes. So I went out, and that's just been a great thing. So my focus has been that gig, getting enough material to play 2 or 3 hours, and a mixture of improvised material, original material, and a lot of cover stuff as well, both jazz and pop. And just continuing to compose, and so I guess this next CD is kind of where is going to be the crowning achievement of this period of what I've been doing. Yeah, it's all been what I'm working towards.
Okay, and could we this new CD, is it out yet? Does it have a name? Is it something?
It doesn't have a name. I've recorded about 30 minutes of music, and I got to go out and record about 30 minutes more, and then it'll be done. Then it's mixing and mastering and coming up with a goofy cover for it. And, then you're done.
Play us your favorite piece.
You want me to play from it?
Yes,
okay.
Please.
I'm going to play a little piece of something from it.
Slide back a little bit for us.
Sure. Okay, I'll do that. Okay, so this is something I wrote. If I could, I probably could, but my whole, I don't know if you can see that one over there. I'm obsessed with, I love castles. So I spent a lot of times over in Britain and Ireland and Wales and Scotland and France, everywhere looking at castles. Love castles ever since I was a kid. So this is a song that I wrote. It's called Winter in Wales, after spending a little bit of time in the winter in Wales. Oops, let me do that again. nervous playing here. I'm telling you.
We'll edit it all out. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I won't actually.
A little bit. A little bit of Winter in Wales with a lot of mistakes there. Nervous.
Very nice. Well, let me kind of focus in on that piece a little bit since it's fresh and you just wrote it. I want to get into the mind of Brett Bottomley real quick here. Tell me about that composition. How did you approach it? How did you decide what you want to do with it? I mean, I'm hearing little things in there where you're throwing in harmonics and you're doing all kinds of neat little things. So how did you put that together? What was the evolution of that piece? Was it something that you had previously written, or you just wanted to try a few things, or what's your songwriting modus operandi, so to speak?
Well, my songwriting modus operandi tends to be I try to write everything from my head and then figure out how to play it on the stick. So basically, do 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 dwee ba do ba bee ba, that whole thing came in my head, and then I had to sit down and figure where to find it on the stick. And then so musical ideas, I think, are best if they come out of your head. And you want the next part, well, get it in your head, sing it, and then figure out how to play it. However, what I learned, like my first year at Berkeley, Dean will probably remember this, if we were in the same class, that composition is like 95% arrangement. So you got this little melody. So then you sit down with your instrument, and like these things are kind of backwards occurring arpeggios. Usually, the typical stick thing is, well, these are starting on top. So that kind of thing, or like the harmonics, whatever it is. Those kind of things are kind of added in later. So once I got the melodic ideas, I come up with the harmonic ideas, then it's the arrangement idea after that. So that's kind of the way it works for me.
Fantastic. Well, I want to open up the rest of the room here for any questions for you. So if anybody wants to hop in and ask one, now's your time.
I have one. Dean, I'm talking to you. I want to hear a story about Brett Bottomley. I want to hear a good story about Brett Bottomley from back in the day. What do you got for us?
We were at Berkeley at the same time, but I didn't know Brett. We found out that we were both there at the same time and met much later, so I have no stories. I'm sorry.
We have a lot of common friends.
No dirt? No dirt? There's no dirt on Brett? No? Okay.
He wasn't the guy streaking or anything? Or?
No, but I can tell you, I met him at the Stick seminar at the Spectrum in Manhattan. That was the first time I actually met him, and we talked about Stick. Then I went to the Northeast Stick seminar last year, and I just have to say he was just such a great teacher. There was a lot of information there because Greg taught, Josh taught, and Michael. But one of the most important things I took from it was something Greg taught, which was about not having. It was about getting a lot out of one area of the stick rather than feeling like you have to fly all over. And it really opened a lot of doors for me where it was like you just getting more out of one area. It was very, very super helpful. It was a great class.
Tell us a little bit more about the Northeast Stick Seminar, because I mean, and I'm going to grab the conch here just for a minute. So the first year that I did the Freehands Academy in 2013, about 2.5 years ago, I was nervous, and it was something that anyone that's done that sort of type of thing, you can talk to Brett or Jim or Glenn or Greg and Bob, Steve, any of those cats, and it is a lot of pressure. And so here's my funny story about Brett. Here's my dirt on Brett. Okay, so Brett's one of the first guys to show up. He's the guy that rents the car. He picks up Claire. I think he picks up Randy. He picks up maybe one other person as well. Who else was coming back? Dean. Was it Dean?
It was Dean.
Dean. Okay, so just to start with, like, Brett's like, I got it. I'll get the rental car. I'll get everyone there. And sure enough, 5 stick players roll out of this car. Everyone's there, luggage intact. Brett's like, I got this. We get into the kind of the main kind of area, the first room, and like all of a sudden, crazy things started to happen because nobody knew who anyone was, right? So we were all we knew each other through our stickist names, right? So that was kind of a fun moment. And Brett kind of got people set up with their instruments. We got the amps set up, and we got kind of the jams going. And I love just the way he kind of brought things together, and he had this kind of natural kind of way to kind of bring people together. At some point, he said, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is going to be a stick meal, and we're all going to play at the same time. And you're going to be the salad. And you're going to be the soup, and you're the main course, and your dessert. And then it was like we were off to the races, and it was like this crazy fun music was happening. It was all spontaneous, and just Brett had this way of just bringing it all together, which I really, really, really appreciated. And that was, and for me, that was just the start. So then what happened is that as kind of things were unfolding and classes were going on, he'd be like, Gene, I think you're going to need extension cord in that second room. And I'd be like, okay. He's like, why don't I get it? I'm like, okay, great. And then there's other moments where it's like, you're going to need about 15 minutes after this class for people to, kind of move around or do whatever it is. Or maybe we need a little more time before this. Just like these little things, I was like, you can't go to school for that. The only way you can learn something like that is, I mean, for me, and now, Brett, I'm not talking about you, is for me, is to fail miserably and then to kind of rub some dirt on it, right, to get back in the huddle and then think, well, I'll be darned if that's going to happen again. So I was grabbing on to everything that Brett had to say. And people may not know it, but I was really like, he was the first person that I was really hoping could come for 2014, this last year, and just whatever life got in the way. But he would be the first person that I would call. And on that note, I want to talk about the Northeast Stick Seminar. I want to talk about the history. I want to talk about the instructors, and I want to talk about the future and the importance of what you're doing in that region and what you've got for us this year.
Okay, well, this year what we got, I got 9 other people.
Yeah, I'm
Okay, so you're muted now. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to just talk. I'm good at. When I'm not teaching the stick or playing the stick, I'm teaching school. I'm teaching fifth graders how to play the trumpet. So I'm very animated. I like to talk a lot. So anyway, so this year we have Bob Culbertson flying him in from San Francisco. Awesome, awesome, awesome teacher. And once again, we have Greg Howard coming in. And Greg, this happens to be like my favorite stick player in the world, so I keep having him back. The history, I guess about 4 years ago, we had our first Northeast Stick Seminar. It was, I brought in Greg and Steve Adelson, and they were both fantastic, wonderful. Went over really well. Then we took a year off, and then last year we had Michael Bernier and Greg. And this year I said, well, you know, I'd love to have Steve back, all this stuff, but I want to keep changing it up a little bit for people who want to come back, at least with one new instructor every time. And for me, the big fish, you know, other than Emmett, having Emmett would be the ultimate, is Bob Culbertson, the Segovia of the stick, as we call him. And so we're really excited about it. It's going to be a great session. And as Gene was saying, I mean, show of hands here, how many of you guys have been to a stick seminar? Have you all been to a stick seminar? I know Dean has. You all have? You haven't been to a stick seminar? Okay. So it's such a unique, amazing thing. It's like a brotherhood. I mean, people, it's because we're all, you know, we're all connected with this instrument, and everyone, you know, there's nothing more humbling than music. And this instrument tends to humble people a lot. You know, I know it does me all the time, every day. So there's a lot of camaraderie. It's great fun. Matter of fact, Gene, I got to tell you, I might be taking it a little too easy this year because all the planning, all that stuff that you said, I'm doing it, except I've got a steady Friday night gig, so I'm going to try to have the meet and greet during my gig. So I'm going to try to play a little bit. See who walks in. Hey, Bob Culbertson. I don't want to 10 minutes. You play, and I'll go back.
Hey, look, Bob's here. Bob, bro, you're at my show, man. Hey, you made it out.
We would also have a stick concert tonight. I'm going to have like a full set up there, and people are going to walk in, and you play. You know, if you got a stick on your shoulder, it's like, man, I don't want to play. You play. So it'll be interesting. We'll see. But, and if not, I'll bring some stick, plug it into a CD player or something. But it should be fun. It should be fun. So we're really looking forward to it. If you've never been to a seminar, whether it's this one, whether it's Michigan, whether it's out the West Coast, you gotta go. It's really an amazing.
Yeah, I would have to kind of echo that, and it's not just because I'm one of the reasons I like doing it is I like project management, and so for me it's kind of like cool. I got to put together this project and see all my friends, and we got to do music too. You know, that's a big plus. But I think what's really nice is in those sorts of situations, it's the stuff in between the classes that stays with you. And so I was going to ask Dean. I know that you were there at last year's event. Like, tell us maybe a little bit more about the group of people at that particular, like, you know, was there something funny? Did like somebody dress up like a chicken, or like give us we have some dirt on that, right? Maybe some dirt on that, little something.
Nothing particularly funny, but you know, everyone trying to play with a bow when Michael Bernier was teaching the bow. It was pretty hilarious.
That was epic. I loved seeing those pictures. Can I just say, like seeing like 8 people with bows and Michael being like.
It was awesome.
Cool. So tell us about playing. Okay, so tell us a little bit about maybe Brett. Let me ask you this. Tell us a little bit about the instructors. Tell us a little bit about the curriculum, like what you've got this year. I know who's coming and who's playing, but like tell us a little bit more about the program.
Okay, so I mean, you know, 3 men are going to be Greg Howard, yours truly, as well. You know, I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, so I'll just give my impression of the teacher. And so Greg Howard, if you've ever studied with Greg he's kind of like, to me, he's like the stick guru. It's everything. It's all-encompassing. It's how to get the entire body working, developing groove, technique, first and foremost. Yeah, but you can go way down deeper with Greg, obviously, also, and get into theory and everything else. Amazing stuff, but really foundational. He's the man who's the foundation. If you want to start playing stick, he's the guy to start with. Bob Culbertson is like the encyclopedia. I remember when I studied with him down in Charlottesville, I came away with a booklet that was like, really thick, and it just had, every scale fingering, every arpeggio, all these, the way he views the instrument, and a lot of theory, a lot of independent stuff. All that stuff's going to be covered. I'm going to talk about going beyond independent. I'm going to talk about a lot of stuff. There's a lot of little things that I teach and stuff like that about seeing the fingerboard differently, how to get into. You guys are from California, some of you, so you must know about getting into the flow. That's like a new thing. So how to flow, how to get into the zone. We're going to talk a lot about that kind of stuff. Because a lot of people, they say, okay, well, what do I do to get independent? Stuff like that. If I'm playing that funky bass line like I was playing before, how do you get to the point where you can play something over? And I can show you, start with a scale. And all different things. You can do arpeggios. You can practice, and you need to practice all that kind of stuff. But at some point, you got to kind of step beyond and get to the point where all that information is internalized, and you're just speaking, and you're just expressing yourself, and you're not just playing a scale or an arpeggio. You're actually making music. So we're going to talk a lot about that as well at the seminar.
Cool. That sounds fantastic. Does Dan or Victor have a question?
Well, I was going to ask, you said you lost how much weight?
140 pounds, thereabouts.
140. I thought I misheard you.
38.
That's like physical
that's
weight, not like a
unbelievable.
divorce, right?
What's that?
That's physical weight, not like a divorce.
That's right. That's physical weight. Yes.
That's unbelievable. Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's how did you do it?
There's a magic pill that we got, and no, it was a lot of hard work. I'm a stick player. That. Anyway.
You're echoing that.
Yeah, I mean, hard work, diet.
Yeah, right. Exercise? Did you join a gym or something?
Yeah.
Wow.
This morning we did. You guys have daylight savings time out on the West Coast? I'm sure you do.
It's Arizona that doesn't have it, Brett. It's Arizona.
I'm sorry. I know one of you guys didn't have it.
Yeah, it fooled me this morning. I was late.
I get up normally I get up at 7. I got up at 6, or it was 7, but it felt like 6 to go to the gym.
Yeah.
And all I could be here with you guys. I'd normally be at the gym right now. It'd be gym, Walking Dead, go to bed.
Brilliant. Do you go every day? Was that your regimen?
5 or 6 days a week I go, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Bravo. That's
a
life changing. That's huge.
Yeah.
Now, have you found with the extra stamina that you have from losing weight and working out, has that helped with your stick playing?
I would say yes. I would definitely say yes. And I could play standing up. I couldn't play standing up before, and I could play standing up now. Although I still prefer to play seated, unless I'm playing in my hard rock band where we're all trying to be rock stars. And then I got to stand up because you gotta do the 2011 pose and stuff and do the swagger. So you got to stand up for that. So
And playing seated, I noticed when you slid back, you had some kind of lap bar. Or something.
Yes, the
Show us
lap
that there.
Can you guys see that? This was a present after that Charlottesville seminar. I'm telling you, these seminars change your life, man. I'm telling you. There was a person there named Howard German, and we were sitting there, and well, we were consuming different kinds of beverages and watching people play, and Bob Culbertson was playing. And Bob, I don't know if he still does, but at that time, he had this thing that would like bolt on.
Still has it. He still has it.
So Howard German, hopefully he's still a stick player. I haven't heard from him in a while. He looked at it and he said, you know what? I think that I can design something that's more like an what is this, an ox yoke? Is that what you call it? The ox thing where you put the two, one ox here, one ox here. And what that would do is it would dip in the middle, and it would pretty much put your stick right in the proper playing position. And he was a woodworker. This thing has been through the ringer. But there's like carvings on it. It's made out of 2 different types of wood. It's beautiful. I've since made some of my own that aren't as beautiful, but this is my favorite, so I usually tend towards this. And so it's great because it goes right into the belt hook like this, and goes right into, right in your lap, and ta-da!
So that one's one of a kind, right?
No, there's 2.
Oh, there's 2. Okay.
And do you want to know who it is?
Who?
Right.
Okay.
So Howard German for you're like a day again, big players. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, Victor, do you have a question? You haven't got a chance to ask anything.
No, I just wanted to take it in. Digging your CD, and I gotta say that the first song I ever heard you play on was it was at one of the Prague festivals, and it was Moonshot Me, and I still, don't take this wrong, I prefer your live performance of that song to the one on the CD that I've got, and that's the mark of just awesome playing. And so that's one reason. Oh, he's going to do it on Sunday. I don't have to go home from work to catch this one. So, Free Hands Friday on Sunday is this is a double whammy. I get to hear Brett. I get to so everyone else is. I have no questions though. I'm just taking it in.
Well, I appreciate it, man. That's quite a compliment. Thank you.
All right, now, Brett, the elephant in the room here, everyone's talking about, is that really weird instrument behind you. What is that thing? You got to talk about that.
Come on, guys.
Never seen something with so few strings. What is that?
You all have to be able to identify this instrument. You should be able to. This is a pedigree instrument, man. Come on. You should all be able to identify what instrument this is and play it.
It's a beauty.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beauty. And actually, does everyone know what this is? This is in the 90s, Rickenbacker. I say Rickenbacker. Some people say Rickenbacker, but I say Rickenbacker. Rickenbacker put out 1,000 pieces of an official Chris Squire limited edition bass, and I got one because I loved. Like I said, I woke up to You and I, and that changed my life. So this is the limited edition Chris Squire, and this one is actually signed again by Chris. I wasn't there, but Chris signed it again with a silver Sharpie, and it comes right off, but I don't have the heart to take it off. So I'm going to leave that signature there. So that's the Chris Squire limited edition. Love this bass. Was playing it today, and Rickenbackers, man, love them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great.
Did you guys know what that was?
Yeah, Andy Prokopik was a big fan of those. I remember he had to hide his basses in the closet after he got his Chapman stick.
Oh yeah, and I still believe very strongly in not abandoning. I mean, I spent a lot of time, on the stick, and I still do. But man, wait a minute, hold on, just give me a second. Hidden in the other corner, one of these. I mean, you gotta. wanted to.
There's that left thumb again.
So you have to, keep playing the other instruments, man. So, got it. But most of my time is spent playing the stick, though. Be right back. Hold on. Got to stand.
No, the reason why I said that is because I have other instruments at my house also, basses and things, but when people come over, the first thing they do is point to the stick and say, what's that weird thing? So when you get a group of stick players together, you have to point to the normal instruments and say, what's that weird thing?
Right. I got you. Yeah.
So we got a few more minutes left. Do you want to just tell us about what you see in the future for yourself as far as the stick playing goes? Any do you want to put on a like a big prog group in the future, or are you going to stay more with kind of what you're doing and just letting that evolve, or do you what's your plans for the future here?
It's tough working with bands with original music. So I don't know. I'm going to take a little break from that for a while. Although my co-writer, Rich Broga, is a dear friend, so we will work together in the future and probably get some more progressive type music out there. I just want to keep making music, keep putting out CDs, keep playing for people, keep teaching. There's no big goals. I'm not trying to conquer the world. Some stick players are really good self-promoters. I'm not one of those guys. I'm like, to me it's, just let the music do the talking and just try to play. And that's my main focus, is just trying to play and meet people and that kind of stuff. So no direct thing, just try to keep my steady gig as long as I can, and once that's gone, find another one and just keep going out there performing and playing. That to me is the be all and end all. That's what I want to do, and keep practicing, man. I mean, there's no end. If you're not humbled every day by music, then you're not trying hard enough. Really not. I mean, there's not a day where I don't say, okay, do I know every arpeggio all over the entire fretboard? No. So I gotta work on that. And can I play any line over any other line? No. So I gotta find those things and challenge myself and play. So I mean, it's that's what I plan on doing until I can't do it anymore.
Cool. I think Gene has a question for you here.
So one of the questions we'd like to ask, certainly one of the topics, well, for starters, I can totally relate to that, and I think that's a great way to be humbled by music and by other people that play music and the people that appreciate music. It's a good way to be, and it's a good way to kind of keep yourself frosty, listening and learning and reading and interpreting things. One of the hot topics always on the Stickist is gear. So will you tell us a little bit about, when you are, I expect that you may have one or even two rigs, whether you're playing solo or whether you're playing with the ensemble. What do you load out with?
Okay. Did I show you my Rickenbacker Chris Squire model? Yes, I did. Some gigs I have that with me. That's with my hard rock band. So when I do my regular Friday night gigs, I got a PA set up, and I go very minimal. I say that, but if you were there and you were watching me set up, you'd be like, what is this guy? Is he from the future? Because I have the Roland synth pickup on there, and I run 2 synths. So, I got 2 rack cases. Actually, one of them is a VG99, so it's on a stand. And I got another one. So I got, 4 cords going into this PA that they have and stuff. So I don't have to bring any amps, any cabinets, but I still have a ton of gear. So most of the time I'm running 2 synths, either through the house PA or through whatever I bring. When I bring stuff, I found, man, can we just talk amongst stick players? I found the best bass amp ever for the stick. So don't tell anybody. I play through a I play through a Demeter. It's a Demeter amp, and these things just are so sweet for it's tubes, and they're expensive, but I saved all my pennies and sold some old comic books, and I bought one. And I'm telling you, I don't miss those old comic books at all, because this thing sounds mint. And I play through
Is it a
Greg
12
Howard.
or 15 or a 210? Like, what tells the? Is it a cabinet or an amp or a combo?
The one that I found is an old Demeter 600. So it's a 600 watts. It's just a bass amp. So that's my bass side. I put it through a bag end, usually a bag end 210 cabinet. Greg uses the bag end 115s a lot. I prefer the 210s. And then for the melody side, I tend to use like dare I say it, like a powered mixer. Just because I went through the Fender amp phase, and I went through tube amp, different types of tube amp phases and stuff. But basically, I need something where I can plug both my synths and the direct stick signal in according to what I want. So I needed something with at least 3 channels. And I just kind of settled upon this Yamaha powered mixer that's got, and I plug that through a bag end cabinet, and I'm done. And, I got some good reverb effects and stuff so I can make it sound pretty good. To me, the bass sound sounding really good is important. The melody sound, I can model a little bit more. So, just,
And you run a true stereo. Now, do you when you're mixing it, are you mixing things left and right, or do you having a blending of the sounds, or like how do I see that you've got the bass amp with the bass,
right.
And you've got the melody side along with your 2 MIDI sounds coming through the PA.
Right.
Okay.
And yeah, that's basically it. And everything I'm pretty much running mono. I'm not doing stereo. There's not 2 sounds coming out through the different speakers or anything. Everything's pretty much coming out mono. So, but it sounds good to me, I usually I bring my special super secret reverb box, which I could tell you about too, but it's super secret. That's also a Demeter. I got a Demeter reverbulator, which is just the box from inside of a Fender reverb. It's just a box with springs, but it sounds really good. So it's a spring reverb. Sounds really good.
Cool.
Yeah.
How many? Oh, go ahead, Gene. Sorry.
It's always a quest for reverb. Like what's the coolest one? I like the Hardwire Supernatural, and I lost that at a stick night, but each one has its own kind of flavor and whatever works for you.
Right.
What were you going to say, Samson?
I was going to ask him how many sticks does he have? How many sticks have you been through? And why did you settle on what you have now?
I love this story.
Is my wife home? Okay, she won't see this, hopefully.
That's why we asked at the end.
I have 4 Chapman sticks, 1 and 1 NS. So that's kind of 4, 5. I guess okay. I'll admit it. I have 5. There is 5. All of my sticks are grand sticks. I just play the grand stick. The 10 string is great, but spend so much time practicing techniques, arpeggios, whatever melodies and stuff, and when the string spacing changes, that's just another adjustment. So I would probably play a 10 string, except that I'm so used to this string spacing that I just stick with the grand stick. My main pickups are the active 2s. I just found that going around, going over to the UK, going to an open mic night, playing at this place where I play every Friday, having the tone control of the active 2 is just so easy. You can plug into almost anything and pretty much dial in your sound. I also have one with the passive 4, and one of my sticks has Emmett, maybe one of the few hybrids. It's the EMG melody and the stick up on the bass, which I also love. But the problem with that is that there's no volume control of the bass side. So it's a little tricky. So on the fly, if you need to grab something a little bit more, it's not there, unless you've got a volume pedal.
What about woods? I see that you've got. I seem to recall you had at least one Paduke, but it looked like you were playing a bamboo or something, kind of a bright wood there.
Yeah, you have good memory. Yeah, I have a Paduke, and I have a bamboo. This one is the light bamboo, and then I have 2 Tararas. And probably the one I play the most is my oldest one. My oldest Tarara stick. It's the 34-inch scale. It had the dot inlays, and I put the violin over the U3 because I'm so used to the linear inlays now. And I just love that stick. I love all my sticks. I don't know what it is. It's just, it's no different than a lot of people say, oh, they're kind of all this. No, they're not all the same. And everyone's got a different personality. I like them all. It's like playing any other instrument, a violin or a guitar or whatever. Everyone's got a little bit different feel, a little bit different sound. So I kind of, pick and choose them according to what I want to, play. But the one I play the most was probably my oldest one, 1899. That wasn't the year. That was the serial number. So I brought it into Guitar Center once, and the girl didn't know what she was looking at. It says 1899. She goes, "Wow, this is old." I'm like, well, yeah, it's old, but it's not 1899. So, yeah.
Have you tried the real board?
I have. I tried it 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, whatever it was, and I think it was great. But I don't play a 10-string, so I play the 12, and so that's always my excuse when I have to pick up one of those things. I don't play the 10-string yet. Don't play. You don't have enough strings for me. They're too far apart. I had to play I had to. Yeah, this is like one of the biggest honors of my life. I had to. They forced me to give 2 seminars at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston once, and I was forced into it. And no, Emmett got me to. They needed someone to play a stick at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. And going to Berkeley is like I used to hang out in there and like drool over the paintings and stuff. They're like, you want to go give a seminar? I'm like, okay. So it was a great honor. I went there and did it. And one funny story was, I've been to the Museum of Fine Arts of Boston. It's one of the great, museums of the world. They always are in the galleries. So they brought me in through like the entrances were like, where the other paintings are, and where the secret stash is, and they walk you up and they walk you through, and they have a stick in their collection, and and I had to have some with me at all times in case I was like going to steal a Rembrandt or something.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing they did that. So they bring out the stick and they're like, "Will you play the one from our collection?" And I go, "Yeah." I go to grab it, and the girl's like, "No!" She takes out her white gloves and she hands me the stick because this is in the collection of the Museum of Fine Art.
That's how they treat them at Stick Enterprises.
Yeah, is that how they treat them? Yeah, I don't think so. I'm like,
it's not how I treat mine.
You play it, it's a stick. So I got there, like, you have to play one piece on our collection. And it was a nice stick, but it was a 10-string, so I'm like, I'm playing the blues, man. I'm not gonna try.
What features were on it? Did it have rails, or was it? Did it have?
They had rods, I think.
Okay.
The funny thing was right before I went on, they haven't stopped. It's been down in that dungeon along with great works of art from the Renaissance and ancient Greece in its flight case, and they haven't touched the battery, so it's active too. So I'm like, I plug it in. I'm like, this battery's dead. It's dead.
Oops.
And the curator is like panicking, and I probably shouldn't even say this, but anyway.
Get the gloves.
So that's right. They got gloves. So he ends up after the whole white glove thing. He ends up taking a hand drill, going into the battery so he can get it out quick and yanking it out and putting another one in. I'm like, well, we went from white gloves to taking power tools to it within like 5 minutes. So, but he did not hurt the instrument. He is a curator. He did a great job. And I got through the lecture, and it was great. So, yeah.
Cool.
That's awesome. It's a great story. But,
and you didn't have to play it with white gloves, though, right?
I did not have to play it with white gloves. But the funny thing is it was in the musical instrument room. So it's like, you sit here, and there's like a $7 billion, 800-year-old harpsichord here, and over here there's a clavinova from like the 13th century, and I'm like, and I got my bag-end cabinet, so I'm bringing it up and I'm putting it up there, and I'm like, geez, if I bump any of these precious instruments, I'm dead. So I didn't have to wear the white gloves, but I had to be very careful. I couldn't really get into the zone, into the flow, and start moving around because I might break something that's irreplaceable.
And I like what you said about the different sticks having like different personalities. I have a couple myself, and what's funny is my oldest one, my Torera, is my favorite one to play. And my newer one that I have, I like it a lot too, but I noticed that when I switch back and forth between, I'll play one for a couple months and maybe play the other one for a couple, and every time I go back to it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember why I like this one. Oh wait, I remember why, and yeah, and it's I had a chance to play one that was made in 1977, fix it up with someone, same thing, jumbo frets and everything, and it was different, but it had a charm to it all its own, and
Right.
each stick is like that.
Right, and I have all four of my sticks I absolutely love. I play them all. It's just great, and it's great to have that, opportunity. Not everyone has four sticks. I know Steve Adelson at least has four, so I don't feel so guilty.
Yeah, it's not good to play favorites.
Yeah, that's right. So they
I do have an NS also, and that is my stepchild. It gets the least attention out of all of them.
Mine's in my secret back room where I go like gloves. It's in there, but it'll come out again someday. Again, the string spacing. I'm just not used to the string spacing, but it's got a killer bass tone. So sometimes I do just like a bass recording. I'll grab that thing because it sounds great.
Yeah, I flipped mine to have like a dual bass, thing. I made it so it's like a 5-string, but then an inverted 4th string also. So it's just for those bass rolls. But
Right.
Brett, thank you very much for doing this, for having you on. This was fantastic. It was a wonderful interview, a wonderful Freehands Friday on a Sunday, and I enjoyed being the host. Gene, thank you very much for letting me host, and Brett, thank you for sharing your talent with us and all the insight that you've given us.
Oh, thank you for having me. I just be released publicly. Yes,
We'll release this on Friday, next Friday, so this will be
Okay.
number 48. And Samson, I just want to say, anytime you want to come back and host, such a pleasure having you on the show. And
I'll do it for my car next time.
Dean, Dan, a great crowd today, and really just someone who's a fantastic leader amongst us, is in such a great. Brett, I've been like hounding you to do this for a long time. So
I know you have.
when you said you could do it, I was like, oh man, we got to make this happen. So thank you. I'll echo what Samson said, and that is it's a tremendous honor and a great privilege, and I'm really glad that you got to talk to us about technique, theory, your history with Berkeley, the importance of seminars, the fantastic work that you've done with the Northeast Stick Seminar, and what we've got coming up. So we'll put this out on Friday. And what else? I was going to say, in the next few weeks here, we'll be wrapping up. I'll be wrapping up kind of the weekly kind of guest format. So I'm glad that we got to include you kind of in the first year here. We're also going to have Glenn Foreman on, who also does a lot of work. We'll do. I think we're going to try to get Randy Clare on in the next few weeks here as well, and so we may do the kind of Friday on a Sunday thing again because it's just a little more laid back and relaxed. But
yeah.
I suppose I just want to close with thanking you again, Brett. And do you want to play us one more thing here? You want to play us out with something?
Okay.
Give us a minute or two.
Okay, a minute or two. What do you want to hear? What do you want to hear?
Well, you played Port Miriam, which is what I wanted to hear. How about some Matheny?
How about some Matheny? Okay, let's see. Now you're challenging.
Or actually, you know what? Play what you want to play. Play what you want to play. It's your show. Enjoy yourself.
All right, I'll play a little Beatles.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Brett.
Thanks, Brett.
You're welcome.
All right,
Thanks.
guys. Happy
Okay.
Free Hands Friday on a Sunday. And I guess we'll see you next time.
Okay. Thank you.